Hey everybody, welcome back to Moving Forward. I'm Jennifer J, and I'm so glad that you're here with me today. I'm going to say a couple of things. First off, if you have not subscribed yet, please do. Click the little subscribe button. Then you will get notified when I have new recordings up. And also, if you haven't bought the book yet, You Can't Be Like Jonah, 1,200 Miles to Obedience. I would love for you to get a copy. You can get it on Amazon, you can get it on Kindle. Hopefully soon coming to Audible. So we're working on that. And in the meantime, if you have a paper and pencil and your Bible, we're going to be using that today. Acts chapter 27 and verse 41 is going to be the key verse, but really I kind of want to go over what's happening. I kind of want to set it up for you. So some of you are probably very familiar with it, others of you not so much. So this is a story about Paul. Paul, you might know or might remember, was a Pharisee. So he was one of the religious leaders and didn't believe Jesus was the Christ. His name was Saul, and he was persecuting Christians, okay? He was putting them to death. He was putting them in prison. He was going from town to town, searching them out and dragging them and their families to their death. Literally, he held the coats of the men that stoned Stephen, who was a martyr. He died for his faith. But this is the same person that God met on the road to Damascus, and God gave him a vision, and it blinded his eyes. The light that shone around him was so bright, it blinded his eyes for 3 days. But God told him, I am the one that you're persecuting, and I'm real. And so he went 3 days. Ananias healed him, gave him his eyesight back because God told him that he was coming and that he needed to do that. So all this happened, and so then Paul is now going around. Now his name's Paul, and he's going around and he is telling everyone about Christ. This is the same person who yesterday was killing people for being Christians, and now he's born again. Now his eyes have been opened, literally. His eyes of understanding too, though, and he knows this is the Christ. So he's going around and he's telling people about Jesus, right? Okay, so he gets arrested for this because, there are still other people who are arresting people for this. So he gets arrested for this, and he's standing before King Agrippa, and the king is listening to him, and he has Festus come, and who's his guest there, and he listens to him, and he says, you almost persuade me to believe in Christ. But they're going to punish him because that's what they have to do, right? He's been brought before them, he's breaking the law. So they're going to punish him, but he says, I'm a Roman citizen. Now those are magic words in those days, because if you're a Roman citizen, nobody else can touch you. You've got to go to Caesar. So he was a dual citizen, and so he was able to claim that, and he did, and that got him out of that trouble, that momentary trouble. Then he had to go to Caesar. So they're putting him on a ship to go to Rome, okay? Now he tells these guys, he tells them, this is not the right time of year to be sailing. This is not smart. This is dangerous. It's wintertime. We all know what happens out here in the wintertime. It's like roulette. That's the word that comes to mind. Like, you might get there or you might not. And that's just not smart. So storms would pop up a lot in that time of year. And so he was telling them, this isn't smart. It's going to end badly. We shouldn't do this. And they don't listen to him. The people that are taking him, they're getting paid. They're getting paid some big bucks. And so they're like, no, we're going, because they want to cash in on that payday, right? So they're taking these prisoners and they're going to Rome. And Paul fasts for many days. They don't eat because the storm is so bad. The storm it starts out and it's fine, right? And wind comes up and they set their sail and they think perfect. And then the storm hits, and the storm is bad. And so what should take about a week to get there can take 30 to 45 days when these storms pop up. So they're really fighting it. they lighten the ship, they throw things overboard, they're doing everything they can to save the ship. God tells Paul that no life will be lost. They're not going to lose their lives, but they are going to lose the ship. So he tells them, you're not going to, you should have listened to me. That's the first thing he says over in verse 22. Men, you should have listened to me and not have sailed from Crete and incurred this disaster and loss. But now I urge you to take heart, for there will be no loss of life among you, but only of the ship. So he tells them the ship's going down, but we won't die. So he told them that an angel of God had told him this, to not be afraid, because they were all going to make it. So it goes on to say that he tells them, and I don't want to read this, it's such a long chapter, I don't want to read the whole chapter to you, but it tells them they've been fasting, so they're weak, and he tells them, you need to take a little food, because this is going to be tough stuff. We're going to have to, the ship's going down, and we got to get to the shore. Now remember that there's a storm, so when the ship wrecks and the shore's over there, and they still have to there's still water between here and there, right? And there's still a storm between here and there. And they have to get there. They're gonna need their strength. So he's encouraging them to take some food. Take some food, you're gonna need it for your survival. Then he also tells them, we need the strong ones to go first. If you know how to swim, you're the ones that are gonna jump in first, and don't grab onto anything. You need to swim. If you're a good swimmer, you gotta go first and you gotta swim to the shore. Okay, they're swimming, I'm not sure exactly the distance, but they're swimming a distance from the broken down ship to the shore, and they're swimming through a storm. So not gonna be fun. And you know, when a ship breaks apart, there's parts of it that maybe they could hang on to, that like a raft or a buoy, right, to hold them up. But they're told they can't do that. They're not to touch anything. So they're not only gonna swim through the storm, right? God's gotta get them through the storm. There's gonna be pieces of the boat in their way. There's gonna be pieces floating around that they're gonna have to maneuver around. And remember, when they're in the storm, they're getting tossed to and fro. You don't get conked in the head with something, right? So they've got to swim through the debris. So something that was said yesterday, and this was by Reverend Janice Williams, who did our sermon yesterday at our women's prayer breakfast. And she called it when nothing's left, but she said, you've got to swim through the thing that fell apart. In between the hurt and the healing, so between the shipwreck and the shore, but in between the hurt and the healing, you have to hold on to the promise of God. God promised them that they would all make it, right? But that's scary. And they might be tempted to look back at the ship, but you can't look back at what's gone. You can't look back at what's broken. You can't expect what's broken to save you. So the ship was wrecked. That wasn't going to get them there, right? When they set sail, they got out on waters that they hoped would take them to their destination. So what was their hope is now their demise, right? Now they're just trying to survive. The same water that they hoped to arrive by is the same water they're now having to struggle through. So she says, hold on to the promise, because God's promises transcend difficult experiences. I'm going to say that again because I want you to write it down. God's promises transcend difficult experiences. I am here to tell you, and if you have watched my channel, you already know. But her number one point was, don't let what's behind you distract you. So in verse 31, I'm going to go back just a little bit. In verse 31, it says, Paul said to the centurion and the soldiers, unless these men stay in the ship, you cannot be saved. I'm going to go back a little bit further because you won't understand. Fearing lest we should run aground on the rocks, they dropped 4 anchors from the stern and prayed for daylight to come. And as the sailors were seeking to escape from the ship, that's when he told them they have to stay to be saved. So she's saying you can't let what's behind you distract you. They couldn't stay on the ship and live. They had to let the strong ones go first. They had to do it in order, you guys. Obedience is so important. They had to do it in the order God said. The strong ones had to go first. Then the ones who were not as strong, who needed to grab onto those things to hold on to, they were to go next. Because then the strong ones would be there to help them ashore, right? They're gonna get tired and they're scared. So, if somebody can't swim and they're holding on to a broken piece of boat, trying to kick their legs or whatever, paddle with one arm and try and get where they're going, by the time they're gonna get to the shore, they're gonna be tired from panic, from the physical exertion, and from not eating for several days beforehand. And so the strong ones are already there to help them, right? Are you a strong one? Is there somebody that needs your help? Yeah, they couldn't stay on the ship and live. You can't let what's behind you distract you. You can't let that divorce distract you. If the marriage is already gone, you can't expect it to save you. If you've broke up with somebody, heartache is horrible. But you can't expect the heartbreak to save you. You can't expect that old relationship to save you. It's already gone. Now you've got to find your way through to the healing. So the ship, the stern was in the back, and so that's the stern. The stern of the ship is in the back, but the stern is what got stuck on the rocks. If you read the story, the stern is what got stuck, and that's where it ripped the boat, right? Because these sharp rocks is what it got caught up on. But that gave them an opportunity. It gave them this window of opportunity to jump from the front, right? So what was broken was back here, and they had this window that they had to take. And she said you can't swim forward and look back at the same time. So if they're looking back at what happened, they better not be jumping off, because there's broken pieces down there, right? And it's a storm, and they better be paying attention to what they're doing. But that's the same for us. We can't be looking back. It reminds me of Lot's wife, looking back at what there was, and she turned to a pillar of salt. But we can't keep looking back either. We need to look forward. What does God have for us? How do we get through? How do we maneuver through to get to the healing? And then the second point she made was advance through what you can't avoid. So debris was thrashing about everywhere in the water. They hadn't eaten for days. The water was probably very cold. It was wintertime. They were probably suffering hypothermia. But they had to navigate through the residue of what used to be. The boat is what used to be the ship, and now it's just pieces littered in the water. They had to navigate through all that, tossing and turning in the water and the wind and the waves, to get where they needed to be. She said it takes intentionality, and I loved that. You guys know that's my word for the year, intentional. And she said you have to be intentional about the path you're gonna take to get to your healing. You have to be intentional. Keep moving forward. You guys, the name of this channel and my words for when God first called me to move to Arizona, my words, moving forward. And she said, it takes intentionality to keep moving forward. Blew my mind yesterday, y'all. And then she told the story about Nemo, if you've seen the Disney movie Finding Nemo, and how when he got taken, and his dad was looking for him, and Dory was looking for him, and they found a clue, 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney, right? They found this clue. But what did she say? You've got to, when they dropped it, and they dropped the thing that had that address on it, and he thought all was lost. But she said, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. And that's what these guys had to do. They had to just keep swimming, and that's what we have to do figuratively when we are in some sort of situation like this. Maybe it's a job loss, whatever it is, you're navigating through what's left, and you've got to be intentional and keep on swimming. And then the third point she made was leave something for those around you. Those that could swim were supposed to go first, right? and the others were to take the debris because somebody needed it. You can't, everybody's on a different path to the shore, but you can't take what somebody else needs. If you don't need it, don't take it. Leave it there and let it help someone else. She said to picture a rowboat. If you've ever seen a rowing team, maybe a college rowing team, how they all row together, or if you've seen people in a rowboat, everybody has to row in unison, right? And if one person just does one hand or doesn't, or maybe goes the other way, or the boat's not going to go where it's supposed to go, right? Everybody has to be doing the same thing. And that's what we need to do. It's a collective effort. It's a collective effort from all Christians. Strong ones, go ahead. If you are a strong prayer warrior, then by golly, pray. Pray for those who aren't as strong. Leave something for them because your prayers don't die. Lift them up in prayer so that they have something to hold on to get them through. If you are gifted with acts of service, then serve. Be a strong leader and serve those that need help. Somebody needs a mentor or someone to teach them how to study the Bible, or maybe just help with their children because they need encouragement because they're a single mom or whatever. Whatever your gift is, whatever God's gifted you with, do it and do it well and leave something for those behind you so that they can come along and get stronger, because it is a collective effort. So I hope that you will read this story. It really, goodness, if you started at the beginning, you really want to read the whole book of Acts, but at least read 26 and 27. Oh, I've got to go back further than that, sorry. The plot against Paul. There's so much good stuff, you guys. If you want to hear everything I talked about, I guess start at like 22, chapter 22 in Acts. But the actual verse was taken out of chapter 27, verse 41. And I know that's kind of a lot of reading, but you know what? It's Holy Week. It's my favorite week of the year. And so Holy Week, if you don't know, it starts at Good Friday. It starts at Palm Sunday, which is today when I'm recording. You'll see this tomorrow. And that's the day that Jesus rode in on a donkey, and they had the palm branches and shouted Hosanna and recognized him as the king. But very quickly their hearts turned, and within just a few days they were shouting, "Crucify him." And Good Friday he dies. That's this coming up Friday. On Good Friday he is crucified, he is buried, and he is put in the grave. And then on Easter Sunday, well, I skipped Thursday. Thursday is Maundy Thursday, and that is a celebration of the Last Supper. And so then Good Friday when he dies, and then Holy Saturday when he is still in the grave, and Easter Sunday when he rises from the dead. So we celebrate those things. Holy Week is a fabulous week, and as a church, as the women of the church are holding prayer every day this week, Monday through Friday, I think. I don't know if we're doing it Saturday or not now, but we're doing it Monday through Friday at least. Every day for the morning, we're meeting at 7 o'clock. Me and 600 of my closest friends at church. And I would encourage you to do something too. Get up and read the book of Acts. Read it, you guys, and study it and pray about it and see what it is that God wants you to do and how you can grow closer to him through this Holy Week. I hope you have a wonderful week. If you have any comments or questions, be sure to leave it here. Give me a like if you would, because that helps the algorithms to get this out to more people. And again, don't forget to go buy the book. I hope you will. I have my first book signing at Barnes & Noble on September 14th. So I know that's a little ways away, but I'm super excited, my first book signing. And if you have any questions or need any help about how to get the book, I would be happy to do that. Or if you want an autographed copy, let me know that too, and I will get that out to you. All right, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.